Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. Hi buddy. Hi. This is going to be a bit of a shorter video. I just wanted to put out this little update video, kind of talk about where I've been and what plans for the future are. I decided to make it a separate video in case you don't care about it. You can just skip it. Would you stop? Would you stop? Come on. Out. The only important announcement really is that I plan on resuming Let There Be Light in 2023. The date is currently November 30th, so that's just in a couple of days. I have been working on Let There Be Light a little bit. Nothing's been recorded, and it's not a lot of changes before you get too excited. And I was about to say when I thought the first video would be coming out, but based on my previous track record, I think I just should not do that. Especially because I'm not too sure what the format of this video is going to be. I like the normal format that I do. I think those videos are cool, but I normally set the video around some task, and I can't really get the video out till that task is completed. And usually those tasks take a long time. Like the attack animations, for example. I made one video on all 3 attacks in the combo. And I think just drawing the attacks in general took like 12 hours or something. And then I had to put them in the game and hook them up to the actual input and make them work and make them damage enemies and play when they're supposed to. So that made for cool videos, but I can only get a video out like once a month when I do that. The other thing I was thinking is maybe doing more of an actual vlogger format where I give more spoken updates more often. Like I just turn my camera on, point it at the screen, and say, this is what I was working on for the last 3 hours. This is where it's at, it's not done, but here it is. And then maybe just on some day of the week, release whatever footage I have, put it in a video and release it. I could get a lot more videos and updates out that way, but I worry the videos might be a little less entertaining, but at the same time you'd see more details, so some people would like that, I think. This is supposed to be a devlog, I guess, where you're supposed to see the work and the steps that goes into making a game, so maybe that's the right move. But yeah, it has been about 1.5 years since my last video, so I figured I should probably catch you up on what's been going on since then. At the time of the last video, I was an intern at Growmark, and since then I've gone from intern to contractor to full-time employee, and even since then I've become a full-time remote employee, which is really nice. I like it. So at the start of that internship, I was trying to keep up with development on Let There Be Light, but it just ended up being too much. I found that I was having a hard time working on it after work, and so I tried waking up at 5:30 in the morning to do it before work. And at the same time, I was also working through some lengthy prayer routine with some of my friends, and I ended up only having like 1 hour every morning to work on the game before I had to go to work. And waking up at 5:30 just to get almost nothing done was pretty mentally exhausting, depressing really. So I'd go to bed and be like, all right, I'm gonna wake up early, I'm gonna do the prayer stuff really quickly, I'm gonna eat something super fast, and then I'm gonna get a bunch of work done on Let There Be Light. And then something ends up taking longer, and I sit down and I'm like, okay, I got 45 minutes before I gotta get up and put my shoes on, so that sucks. And then just right there from the start of development, I was already in a bad mood, and it was bad. Not to mention, my last apartment was a terrible workspace. It was so tiny. My chair and my mattress were practically touching each other. It was bad. Not to mention the lighting was just like gloomy in the whole apartment, not just my room. I had fun roommates, at least that helped. Now at my job, I work as a web developer, and I was given an access code to a training course on Udemy for the tool we were going to use. It was called Vue, and this course was super thorough. It was like 80 hours, more like 40 because it did Vue 3, which was like the latest version of Vue. And then there was a whole nother section of course that was Vue 2, the last version. But by the end of the course, I felt pretty confident with all of the material I had learned and knew how to use the framework pretty well. So well, in fact, that I decided to remake my personal website, which is kind of just like a online portfolio for me. But I did make a little section for a devlog for Let There Be Light. It's a little written timeline on there with dates and little written paragraphs about updates. The idea there was kind of if I was struggling to get out videos, that was something I could fall back on and do. So why the shift from game development in my free time to web development? The remake of my website was a project that had been on my mind for a while, and it was something that I needed to get done. And considering I had struggled working on Let There Be Light, I figured it'd be better to ease back into development with a much smaller and less overwhelming project. And I hoped that if I could find a good time of when I was going to work on this, I could translate that into game development and then have less of a frustrating time working on that. But once I finished this, I found that I still just did not want to work on Let There Be Light whatsoever. I had no motivation to do it. And I think a lot of it was because of confidence. That Udemy course, it was nuts how I knew a little, I had a little bit of experience with JavaScript, but I had absolutely never heard of Vue before in my life. But just after taking this one course, I was not only able to make an entire prototype of a website for work, and that was totally guided, but I was also able to come home and create this whole website just in I think it was 3 weeks, maybe. It was less than a month, I think. I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't. Actually, wait, it probably says. Oh boy. Okay, so it was longer than a month. Anyway, off topic. So after that, I decided I wanted to take a more complete course on game development. I knew a lot, I had a lot of practice with the code and stuff, but I didn't have a lot of confidence. I think I've mentioned before that all of my game development experience was from YouTube videos and short articles that I had read. I would follow YouTube tutorials, and that YouTuber would show you how to make one game most of the time. And you would see how they wrote their code and what practices they used, but that didn't translate from YouTuber to YouTuber. And a lot of these guys learned what they know from YouTube too. The biggest benefit of the Udemy course was that the instructor started from like the fundamentals of Vue and built up to making like full-scale applications, and even showed you how to deploy it and host it on a Google hosting site. And on top of that, he had a big focus on coding practices which help you keep things organized and manageable. So I decided that I wanted to take a Udemy course or two on game development. And I think I looked up a couple and picked out some that I wanted to do, and I may have started one of them while I was at that last apartment, but for whatever reason I just could not get into a development mindset at that last apartment. So I planned, and I think I even wrote on my website, I planned on starting in May when I moved into this apartment, which is much better, by the way. I still have one roommate, one of my friends from Princeville, pretty cool dude. His name's Ethan. But we got a 3-bedroom condo, so I've taken 2 of the rooms, so I've got my own bedroom and a whole room for an office since I'm working from home now. So I have a much bigger desk. It's much more comfortable. I love having all of this space for things. Notebooks, my 2 monitors. I got a little slide out here with keyboard and my secret notes. Mini fridge over there. That's nice. And the best part is that this room is still very open. Anyway, I moved in here, set up the office, set up my bedroom, set up the downstairs area, the living room, and just kind of took some time to settle in. But for whatever reason, I did struggle to get back into the development mindset. At some point, I did finally take those courses, and they taught me a lot. I didn't learn a lot of actually new code, but what I did finally get were some good coding practices that really helped me organize my code. Once I finished those Udemy courses, I did start developing Let There Be Light again a little bit, but the first thing on my mind was, holy crap, I need to fix up my code. So I spent a lot of time rewriting and reworking a lot of my scripts, and it was very much worth it they're all a lot easier to follow and understand now, and it's a much less daunting task to try and fix any bug. However, after I fixed all of those things, I was like, well, since I'm doing all this cleanup, I might as well update to the next version of Unity. I botched the whole project. There were like duplicate scripts, missing scripts. It was crazy. So that destroyed my motivation, which already was low, to keep working on it, and I didn't touch it for a long time. At some point, I did actually end up talking about this lack of motivation to a priest. I described my situation, how I am full-time remote now, and I've graduated college. A lot of my friends have moved away. Not to mention, I'm a little bit of a shut-in by nature, so the ones are still here, I struggle to reach out to them. And that priest threw me a curveball. He was like, get a dog, which I just was not expecting a priest to say. I thought about that for a while, and I can't say that it was the first time that I had considered getting a dog. So yeah, I decided to get a dog. His name's Odin. He's great. He's a golden retriever. He's about 10 months old now. Got him when he was 8 weeks old. So after I got the dog, obviously development was not even on my mind. This is the first puppy I've ever owned and had to take care of myself. I've had dogs, and my parents have had dogs. They've played with dogs. I've never taken care of one. The dog was a big time commitment, especially in the first few months. And then maybe 3 months ago, I got a new gaming PC, which was something I had always wanted for a long time, and it's awesome and I love it. I'd tell you about it, but I don't know that much about it. I showed it to my friend who knows a lot more about building PCs and specs and all of those things, and he told me it looked good, and I bought it. And it is good. It can run things on the highest graphics, like most things, like The Witcher and God of War. I just started playing that last night on. It was ultra graphics, but I thought that looked bad. Yeah, basically ultra graphics. Anyway, after I tested all the new juicy high-res games, I decided to try and bring the Let There Be Light to the new PC and see if I could fix it up in the new PC. For whatever reason, it just worked fine when I brought it to the new PC. So then I got to work and I started working on it, and I did a couple small things. I kind of want to say buffer to the attacks, but it's not really a buffer. Typically a buffer is if you start your first attack and then you click again to start the second attack, but you do it too soon, it'll basically put that second input into like a queue. And then as soon as attack 1 finishes, then it will automatically start attack 2. And that makes games feel a lot better. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for an hour or two, and then go play Super Smash Bros. Melee. No hate on Melee. Melee is a great game. I know there's a lot of die-hard Melee fans. But Melee doesn't have buffering, and you can really feel it. But what I added isn't necessarily buffering. It's supposed to achieve the same kind of feeling, but it's more of just I cancel animations early. This improved the feel of the attacks immensely though. Without this, you had to wait for the previous attack to completely finish before the game would even register your input, which was not good. The other thing that I added was just a small thing to the Blade Demon enemy. Now when he hits you, or if the player tries to jump over him or stand above him, then his speed nearly triples and he runs back and forth like a maniac for a few seconds until the lunge animation starts or until the wild run timer runs out. And my hope, I like this a lot. I think it's cool and adds a lot of intensity to that character. But I also hope and think that when I get all of the lighting set up in an actual level and scene, I imagine it's gonna look pretty creepy. Like imagine just standing up on a platform with very dim lighting underneath you, and you can just see the head of like 4 or 5 of them running by like crazy. And then when I get sound effects in there, those things are gonna screech like demons. They're demons. They have to make terrifying sounds. So when I add all of that in there, I think that character is gonna be one of the creepiest. I may need to do a little animation update to him, but that's not high on the list right now. But the last person I showed it to told me he looked like a hot dog. And that's not what I was going for. Anyway, I've been recording for a while. So the last thing I wanted to mention here The next thing I have planned is the forward attacks. Forward attacking animations. Side attacks. I don't know what to call them. So yes, I think my plan right now is to today draft up some forward attacks, which I already have ideas for. I just want to draw them out. And I'll record that. Honestly, I think these attacks will be pretty easy to draw. Implementing them into the code could take 1 day, could take 2. Creating the video usually takes a day and a half to 2 days. So maybe I can have a video out by Saturday. My eyes are wide because I'm not sure I should be saying this and sharing this information. Because typically when I do something like this and give you a date, my actual release date is something like that. So I'm shooting for that. It might be that. That's all I got. Thanks for watching.